Rhodes versus John Cena is awesome. I'm sick and tired of people telling me otherwise. Also, hello my friends, we're Ups and Downs, the only wrestling review show you need, where we take the energy of positive power and we throw it into professional wrestling. Now that doesn't mean we like everything, but it does mean we always remember that wrestling is there to make us feel warm and fuzzy in our tum-tums. So that's exactly what we do. Well, not technically, this does it. The finger of power. So we did just have a Monday Night Raw. Let us up those downs. And that is right. Now listen, I totally understand the first two John Cena heel promos we did get were a little bit samey, but that's like being introduced pizza, and then the next time you get pizza being like, I don't want cheese on toast. Of course you do. Stick it up your ass. Do not stick it up your ass. John did arrive in London though to all the boos, and this time Cody Rhodes was not going to let him talk because he interrupted him instantly. And honestly, I think these fans in the O2 Arena sang Cody Rhodes' theme music for around about 72 years, to the point I had to invent time travel just to come back in time to give you this review. Cody also knew all about the fine speech that John was probably going to lay on him, so he was like, man, I'll do it for you, because yes, I have an arm tattoo on my neck. Yes, I have a lisp, and yes, back in the day, I used to be Stardust. He lent on that last one too, because he was like, John, your last appearance at WrestleMania is going to be losing to Stardust, when he came out with the big guns, because he wanted to melt the internet down. Cody was all like, yes, that's right, John Cena. In the company I created, I got booed. I mean, you can go see the reaction now. You would have thought that Cody had snuck into somebody's house and stolen kids. I don't even know what that means. The point is, let AEW talk about WWE. Let WWE talk about AEW. It doesn't matter, man. It's just a little bit of a low funny. I know sometimes it can get more serious, but unless you're working backstage and you actually have power in one of these promotions, just go shrug emoji. He then went in hard because he was like, listen, Johnny boy, your words and actions actually haven't made sense over the last fortnight, so I have a question for you. Why? I slapped my head and said, here's why. I was like, damn it, it's like Pavlovian conditioning. Cena was totally fine with this as well, because he was like, okay, fine, but listen, I'm not going to reduce myself to your level. I'm not going to punch down. And listen, Mr. Rhodes, you keep using the word cooked. I'm not going to cook you. I'm going to do what I did to everybody else throughout my career, and I'm going to bury you. I was like, oh man, here we go. He followed that on as well, because he's like, that's the word the fans have always used, that I bury talent. But I don't bury talent, I am talent, and he needs that on a t-shirt. And also, everybody I used to go against that wasn't able to hang, well, they were just mediocre. So it's those individuals that he's happy to kick to the curb, and that's why he's not going to make fun of Cody's lisp. And instead, he's going to talk about the fact that Cody rode John Cena's coattails all the way from the Money House. Well, you see, Cody has only been able to become the king of the kingdom because John Cena was so great. When John was like, you know what? You're basically a pickpocket. It's like, man, it's like we're watching Oliver. This is why Cody loved riding with John Cena back in the day, because he was stealing all of this. And despite wanting to be undeniable, Rhodes is actually quite underwhelming. This is why the fans don't buy him as well, because they know he's a phony. I'd be like, John, come here. That one's not true at all. Cena just kept on going too, because he was like, you are basically a generic mix of all the superstars put together. So essentially, you have tricked all of these people. I didn't realize that. Cody's a magician. Great work. Cena then started talking about the fact that he had made that WWE title something, and now look, this Nepo baby with his gimmick tattooed on his neck is trying to steal it. And that's why it's not about the tattoo, it's about the fact you have it, because it just means you are just like all of these fans, you don't get it. Johnny even told him to go buy a fake belt from Fanatics once WrestleMania is done, which did make me laugh, because the real world champion is taking that belt and he is going home forever. That's like, man, 5 stars, 6.25 in the Tokyo Dome. Now, admittedly, everybody at this point was like, oh no, Cody Rhodes is totally done. But actually, he had a gun in his pocket, and he was not happy to see you. Because Rhodes is totally fine if he was chosen, because it was the fans that picked him. While that line is corny, it always gets you right in the tootsie toes. And also, if we are going to think about this, who picked you, John? I do believe it was someone we're not allowed to talk about anymore. I was like, oh no, we're about to get deep. Because Cody is a wrestler just like his father, sure, but if anybody is a creation, it is John Cena. And also, you keep saying, people are so scared of me on the microphone. Well, I, Cody Rhodes, am not scared of you, because you've got more dick on that mic than you do in your jorts. And if you are a young viewer watching this, he meant Richard. That's what he meant. So he said, you have more Richard in your mic than you do in your jorts. So John Cena has somebody called Richard living in his pants. Let's just move on. It's also funny because Cena keeps referring to Cody as a kid, but actually, only one of us is running around with Zac Efron pretending to be a 16-year-old, and it's you. It didn't end there either because Cody Rhodes was like, you disenfranchised so many fans that I was able to go away and create a different company somewhere else because everybody was sick of you. But also, you talk about wanting to make the business better. Well, only one of us did that, John, and his name is Cody Rhodes. If nothing else, Cena, you sold out to The Rock, but listen, I will admit you are my hero. But you're also a piece of shit. That is most definitely the brand new you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. But once again, John jumped back in here, as everybody has always got in this ring, and he wasn't protected from anyone. The problem was they took their best shot and it just wasn't good enough. Cena has also proved that he's able to take garbage and turn it into good work. Whereas when it comes to you, Cody, well, your best stuff couldn't even wipe my ass. And I was like, well, yeah. Don't do that as an angle, I don't want to see it. Cena did have a good go-home line too, because he was like, listen, I make empires from billionaires, whereas you, my friend, well, you just steal from their kids. And yes, that was most definitely a Tony Khan reference. Now, we did make sure Cody Rhodes had the last word, which was important, because he was like, well, John, do you know the one thing that nobody's ever chanted at me that you got all the time? You can't wrestle. And bless John, he sold this like somebody just chopped off his head, and he pretended he was going to punch Cody, then he didn't. Then he tried to get him, but Rhodes was like, I'm the babyface. And he took out John Cena with the crossroads, and he stood tall with the belt. So he is most definitely losing at WrestleMania, which is probably the correct decision, but honestly, if this is what we have been building for over the last couple of weeks, well, they took a baseball bat and they hit a home run. I was like a kid at Christmas after this, doing the dance of joy. Don't know what this is, but I cannot wait for that match. It really is some of the best promo material we'll probably see all year as well, because on one side, you do have a GOAT. On the other, let's face it, Cody will be in that category one day. So it was totally brilliant, it was totally awesome, it was totally unique, because again, it is heel John Cena. So not only am I giving it an up, I am giving it a golden up. I don't even care, man. People always get mad when I give golden up, which is cool. I like the fact that you do care, but it is happening. It is brilliant. We then had some more fun too, because the New Day were out here for their match, but Adam Pearce was like, oh, got some great news. Given that we are in London, the new Catch Republic are back. That is good news, because again, Tyler Bate has been out since July. Isn't it nice he finally got to return? Now I did laugh, because I forgot that him and Pete Dunne's entrance music starts with them going, no, Catch Republic. We have to change that. But very interestingly, they went to the ring and they lost. Now actually, I did think this was the best decision, because I don't think they are going to be a tag team for long. They will go in their separate directions. Whereas when it comes to the New Day, well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, WWE has not done right by them ever since they have turned heel. It does look like now they are going to have a tag team title match over WrestleMania weekend, so they had to get a victory. And they did. The really weird part is that the New Day didn't even really cheat. Like, Tyler Bate was trying to get back in the ring, but Kofi Kingston stopped him. And then Xavier Woods did something with Pete Dunne's tights, which sounds terrible. When they hit the up, up, down, down, they got the 3. I was like, all right, maybe I'll go have a croissant. They also got a quick interview after this when they were like, we want to have a shot at those Raw Tag Team titles. When the War Raiders walked out and just looked at them. Now listen, I enjoy all these teams, and I am glad we're finally headed in this direction. And again, the match was very good, so I am going to give it an up. But this just felt so last minute. And yes, as we have spoken about many a times on Ups and Downs, it was just some wrestlers going geese title shot or give me a title shot, and the champions going, you absolutely can have one. Why didn't you ask sooner, you silly scallywag? That part has to get it down. The Usos then met backstage and they were having a super serious conversation, because Jimmy Uso was like, I am going to take on Gunther. Jay was like, yeah, well, I'm going to be with you. And Jimbo was like, no, I can do it by myself. And brother, I know you can do it at WrestleMania 2. Now, when I say WrestleMania 2, I mean at WrestleMania as well, not WrestleMania 2, which was a bad WrestleMania, if you do care. And while Jay was cool with this, this is the stupidest plan of all time. Are you one of these idiots from a horror movie who are like, oh, we should split up? Yeah, let's go our separate ways, even though we all of a sudden think we saw a demon. It was quite cool though, because they did play this up massively. Like Jay just got frozen in time at one point, because he was so scared. Actually, he was 100% correct. When it turns out that it may very well be me versus Ludwig Kaiser. And I didn't have that on my bingo card. But he was talking to Jackie Redmond, and Jackie Redmond was like, oh my gosh, you've had some ups and downs in your career. And Ludwig was like, I've had no ups and downs. I was like, don't you come into my house and say these words, Mr. Kaiser. I show you the evidence. You have received lots of ups, but you have received a couple of downs. although I would imagine the ratio actually probably is in favor of ups. You don't care about. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Once again, let's just move on. Charlie Brooker was then shown in the crowd, and if you are a UK person, you know how totally wild that is when it was time for Jimmy Uso versus Gunther. And I suppose we should all bow our heads, because Jimmy Uso may be dead. Now, Jimmy did fight valiantly here, and at one point he even got the splash, but Gunther kicked out of that. Well, yes, he went totally nuts on him. He hit a power bomb, and he did his own 1-2-ooh. He pulled Jimmy's shoulders off the mat. He kept doing this because he is a massive asshole when he locked in the sleeper, because I suppose somebody had told him, hey Gunther, Jimmy Uso hasn't had his 8 hours, so he will go to sleep, and he totally did. And of course, because he's a butthole, he wouldn't release this hold, so out came Jey Uso, probably thinking, why didn't I just go out there to begin with? Now, just as they were leaving though, Gunther went totally insane, because not only did he attack the useless security guards, one of them went into Simba the Steel steps, but he took out Jimmy, he took out Jey, when he took Jay's wrist, and he essentially handcuffed it to the rope. Jimmy also then went into Barricade when, my gosh, Gunther just absolutely wrecked this dude to the point blood was pouring out of his head. So what did Gunther do? Well, for starters, he rubbed the red stuff all over him, which makes him totally insane. When he locked in the sleeper, and he was basically trying to murder Jimmy Uso, and he did it within the area of Jey Uso, but he wasn't able to save his brother. So essentially Jey, the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, had to watch as his family died. The commentators were freaking out too, going, well, why is nobody helping? Which was a great question. And seriously, if you wanted Gunther to have an edge, not Adam Copeland, he went to AEW, well, he came across like a serial killer. Of course, the story now is that Jimmy Uso has died so that Gunther versus Jey Uso can live. So when we take both of our men's world title feuds, man, we just level them up massively. Like if you were playing Final Fantasy, you probably just smashed through 100. So it's going to help Jey Uso get even more support behind him too, so when he does get his revenge over the current champion, well, you're just going to be like, that was great. Also, we know it's not going to be in the main event, so we did need some heat, and we did need a heavy angle, as people in wrestling called it, but I am going to give it an up. And really, aside from the opening promo, if you were going to watch anything on this episode of Raw, this is the ticket. Oh, it's damn good. We then continue to tease what the favour could be between CM Punk and Paul Heyman as we had a video. When we cut to the back, the Judgment Day were really happy. I was like, wait a minute, that never happens. This is mostly because Dominik Mysterio and Finn Bálor are back on the same page, although Finn does not like anybody else, because he was all like, Raquel Rodriguez, do you remember when you failed to become the Women's Intercontinental Champion? Well, that shall not happen to I, and in fact, I'm going to sort out an IC title match for me right now. Everybody then left aside from Carlito, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez, and I swear Carlito made Liv Morgan laugh here. And when he was gone, I got a bit worried, because Liv was like, oh, hi, Raquel. We need to talk about Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. We'll get to that later. When we have to have a chat, Bron Breaker. Now, he is amazing, and his Intercontinental title run has been brilliant. And one day, if things do continue to head on the right path, you should be a WrestleMania main eventer. Given he was tagging with Penta here, I couldn't help feel it in my brain, which is a very weird sentence. But do you remember when he was with Baron Corbin and the Wolf Dogs? Well, what we should have done is we should have put them on the main roster, let them have an awesome tag team title run, eventually they do split up, and then you could have done Baron Corbin versus Bron Breaker on Raw or on SmackDown, and eventually they too go their separate ways. I don't know why this has hit me like months afterwards, but I think it was a mistake not to do that. Mostly because Bron Breaker is just so damn good in the tag, and Baron was way better than people gave him credit for. Giving it a down. Otherwise though, Penta and Bron were facing Finn Bálor and the Condom. Of course, it was super fun, and at one point, Penta even did a dive. I know. The Day of Judgments were being idiots though, and they kept casting distraction, although Penta was able to get the backstabber and the big hot tag to Bron Breaker, and he was doing great until he went for his patented spear. Because Penta was ready to do his Mexican Destroy just before this, but Dominik just got involved, and the referee was totally fine with this, but because there was shenanigans, when Breaker went to tackle somebody, well, the Judgment Day did some wiggling and a jiggling, and by accident, Bron actually took out Penta instead. Whoops. So it essentially meant that he got tricked by physics, and Dominik Mysterio was right on this, and he made sure that all of a sudden Penta was in position. Finn Bálor hit the coup de grace, and honestly, a couple of amazing things happened here. One, Penta suffered his first pinfall loss on Montag Night Raw, and two, Finn Bálor actually watched the match. So you should absolutely play the lottery today. Later on too, Bron Breaker and Pentagon fell out in the back, so you have to presume it is going to be a four-way here for the Intercontinental Championship. And Bálor will be like, well, how did you get into this, Dominik Mysterio? Because, of course, later on we had another Judgment Day segment, and Liv was like, Dominik, you should be in this match too. Stop being so nice to Finn. So he had planted these seeds. Also, I'm just so happy Finn got a victory. I do believe his last one was in 1912. And who the flub knows what was happening then? Up. I like this. Chad Gable's then chatting to Adam Pearce, and it does feel like WWE is taking a little bit of a step back with this El Grande Americano stuff. And that is probably for the best. Like, if people were upset by this, and it did hurt their feelings, why can't you just sit down with them and have a chat? You are allowed to be upset. People go, oh man, you're so sensitive. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive sometimes. Why do you think you have sensitivity built in you to begin with? Why can't we all be nice? Anyway, the point is Chad had another sick note, so he wasn't going to wrestle, when Adam was like, well, that's a shame, because next month, or next week I should say, we're in Minneapolis, which is your hometown. Okay, was like, oh man, I'm gonna be better by then. And Adam Pearce was like, no, you're not, and El Grande Americano will have to wrestle instead. This was a bit like, you both know what's going on, but you won't admit it. Probably best you just say things out loud. Gable still found the Alpha Academy as he was leaving to yell at them, because that feud is never going to end. And the really interesting bit is that Maxine Dupree was there, and she was like, oh, hi, Adam Pearce. I've been talking to Natalia, and we may want to be a tag team. That's like WWE. You have to do better by these women tag team belts. I don't mind those two being a duo, but we just need more love. Jackie then talked to Karrion Kross, and he was all like, ha ha, AJ Styles. He's a piece of trash, and maybe one day I'll punch him in the face. And he didn't say that, but that was basically what he was getting at. This is also when we saw Penta and Bron fall out, and it was time for everything between Logan Paul and AJ Styles. Just gonna be honest with you, the best way I can sum it up is, I can't fight my feelings. Now, it was meant to be Logan Paul coming out first, but AJ did it instead, because he was like, man, I'm sick of this guy, and I'm bored of waiting. And when Paul did come to the ring, my gosh, did he get booed. Now, Logan said that he did all this on purpose, and the fans are sheep, blah, blah, go on, go on. But listen, now he's a girl dad, so he has learned the art of forgiveness. So listen, AJ Styles, I know you attacked me in Madison Square Garden, but I forgive you. Styles was like, yep, I totally get that, because I have a daughter too, and that's why I'm gonna forgive you too, for being the biggest douchebag ever. I was like, that's brilliant, but also don't teach your kid that. They'll absolutely use it in school. AJ's point as well was that the crowd doesn't care about fame and wealth, and they care about what you do in this squared circle. So listen, Logan Paul, we all know you're really talented, but what are you willing to sacrifice, and how far are you willing to go? I was like, I hope he means like location-wise. Like, would you dare go to Nebraska? Because if the answer is no, you've got to leave. Paul then considered asking AJ Styles for advice, but then was like, oh, you don't ask advice from people that you're already better than. When they kind of threatened each other, and there was tension. Sexual tension. It wasn't sexual. Now, Logan Paul wasn't going to fight because he won't do that for free. When he started insulting people in the audience, being like, ha ha, look at this guy in the front row who probably sent his life savings to be here. And I was like, oh yeah, what a dig, Logan Paul. Somebody worked really hard and saved all their money to do something they love. How are they ever going to recover? He then tried to cheap shot AJ, but Styles wasn't able to reverse that. But eventually it was Logan hitting the pulverizer and leaving AJ Styles laying when it did get announced at WrestleMania. Obviously, it's Logan Paul versus Ash Styles. And look, all of this was fine in terms of a segment, and I think AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers ever. This is when we come back to my feelings. Just not for me. I can't explain it, but I didn't get emotional, I didn't get excited. It's not really something I do want to see when we get to WrestleMania, and maybe the answer is Logan Paul. Maybe we do need to do something different with him. I'm going to have to wait and see as the weeks go on. But I am going to give it a down, again, just based on my personal taste. Not everything in wrestling should be tailored to me. And actually, if you do think that, I don't want to be a horrible person, but you may be nuts. Okay, right. This is when Lyra Valkyria and Bayley did meet backstage, and Lyra was like, oh, ever since I won this Intercontinental Championship, Bayley is the only person to beat me, so I want to do a rematch. And Bayley was like, oh man, yeah, that sounds great. Can't wait for that. Don't know why she's Australian now. So we are going to do that next week. But this is why I'm worried, because don't forget what Liv and Raquel were talking about. So while I thought we were teasing that this would be a women's Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania, now I think it could be a tag match and will also work in Maxine and Natalia. And again, just don't think that would be good overall for the women's tag team belts. But right now, we don't know. I am just speculating, so I'm going to assume this weird position and I'll wait. This is when we saw that Finn Balor was trying to get an Intercontinental title shot, and Liv was like, Dom, you should do the same too. When, dare I say it, we got to some good old-fashioned, goofy wrestling for life. I mean, this entertained me. Now it was Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's WWE Championship with Bianca Belair as a special guest referee. And if she's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it too. That's right, I can shout out, count out, disqualification. Man, I'd be a terrible ref. But really, this is all Adam Pearce's fault, because he was all like, I don't like this situation with these three women. So Bianca, again, you're gonna be in charge. She kinda did a good job until the finish. Now Belair was dragging them both away at one point, which I don't like, so I'm like, it's wrestling, man. We should be allowed to beat the other person up. And given that it was 2025, Io Sky went and did a dive. We also had this tease of a double count out when Io and Rhea basically wrecked each other, and Ripley was hitting avalanche Samoan drops during this. I suppose she's not Samoan, so it was just a big drop. Ripley also headbutted Io Sky when she went for a crossbody, which was cool, and she hit this great Razor's Edge knee combination. That is something she should keep in her arsenal going for. Of course, though, at one point, Rhea was going to boot Io right in the face, but Sky moved, meaning Ripley took out Bianca Belair. And this is when Io Sky went for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up. But Rhea Ripley kicked out, she hit the Riptide, and by my record, she got a count of 27, but of course, there was no referee. I should have been there. Now, the short version to all of this is that eventually they did all start to fight, and Bianca got smacked so many times, she was like, damn it, it is going to be a double disqualification. I was like, Adam Pearce, what did you think was going to happen? Although really, it was Rhea Ripley that took the most MP, because she went crazy with specials here, and she was hitting Riptides like they were going out of fashion, meaning Raw ended with her lifting up the title. I do believe it will be a triple threat match. Now, yes, the way that we got here was totally silly, and even though we could have walked down a straight line, instead we went there, jump everywhere, and go around the houses. And while I do find it entertaining, because I like shenanigans in wrestling, I do understand the criticism. There was a way simpler way to get to our Google Map destination, and instead, I don't know, we just closed our eyes and walked around. So I am going to give that part down. But ultimately, I had a good time. I think that triple threat match at WrestleMania 41 could steal the show, steal the entire weekend, if they are given time. So once again, it's like being told, Simon, there's free ice cream here. I don't care how I get to that free delicious treat. I just want it in my hand and to eat it on a summer's day. There's no need for it to go in this weird poetic direction, but it has, man. But I am going to give it an up. Again, WWE is lucky they have 3 stars of this caliber, and do I want to see it? The answer is yes. Gets it up. Also, the work between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley was just brilliant, and we know Bianca Belair is great too. So yeah, this was all fine with me, and I'm absolutely giving Raw an up. I mean, there were good parts on it, but the John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and Jey Uso home runs were exactly that. If you don't plan on seeing it, change that right now. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Leave a comment below and let me know how wrong I am about Monday Night Raw. Click the video on the screen, which is my ups and downs of SmackDown, so you can join me on my WrestleMania journey, where who knows, maybe one day I'll be a special guest referee. Can you imagine? I'd come out and 10 people would go, it's the guy from YouTube. 65,000 people would be like, who's that bald idiot? But at least I would be at WrestleMania. Once again, don't know how we got here. Goodbye.